Houston is a hockey town.
No, it is not. If it was, the fourth largest city would have had a team before the smaller cities of Nashville, Raleigh, St. Paul, Phoenix, Columbus, and Tampa Bay.
Okay, wow, that was a lot more hostile than I was expecting. But I'm sure other people are reacting to the Freidkin group news and the fact that it seems really likely that Houston's gonna get an expansion NHL team. So let's see what others are saying.
I doubt anyone in Houston cares about hockey.
Okay, if I was up north, I would probably think the same thing. Fair, maybe. Okay, let's see who else.
Houston is an armpit of a city.
Okay, sure. There are times I've driven around downtown and I've thought the same thing. But let's keep going. Let's see some others.
Houston could not keep an AHL team. How can an NHL team work here?
Oh, dude, I am so tired of talking about Wait, hold on. That said here, right? Like, you're from this town and you still have that take. You have no excuse. Actually, that might be my ex that said that. But okay, let's see what else we got.
Houston is a lousy sports city.
You know what? I want to address this claim because I hear it enough. If I don't do it in this episode, I'll do it in another one. This episode feels like it's going to be long, but we'll talk about this at some point, sure.
No offense to Houston as a city, but I'd like to see this Houston NHL team fail like the Thrashers did.
Look, just because you failed at life doesn't mean the rest of us have to.
Vomit. Bleh. Yet another city that shouldn't have an NHL team. It's bad enough we have one in Texas. Please don't let us have two.
Please don't let us have two. That's the same thing your parents said when they pulled you through.
I see absolutely no future in Houston.
See absolutely no future. I'm sure you heard that from a high school guidance counselor or two.
Please no Houston squad. You don't want those fans in the NHL.
Not everyone was hateful. I mean, to be honest, most of the comments that I saw anyway that accepted the inevitability of expansion and accepted the inevitability of the NHL wanting to grow into new markets, southern United States markets, were like, yeah, Houston makes sense. It's surprising there's not already a team in Houston. And ones that were against it were typically not anti-Houston as much as hockey shouldn't be played in warm environments. And that's a take. I get it. You know, I talked earlier in an earlier episode that, you know, technology exists. There's no reason we can't. But you're right. We don't have kids strapping on skates and going out onto a frozen pond during the winter down here. So, okay, if that's your take, I get it. And then, of course, there's a lot of Canadian pride. Someone actually asked me, well, why do we have any Canadian teams? It's the National Hockey League. And the answer to that is the nation in that National Hockey League is Canada. The original 4 teams. Wait, I thought it was original 6. No, hang on. The original 4 teams are all Canadian. In fact, here they are right here. And you no doubt recognize 2 of these logos. We'll start at the top left. Montreal Canadiens. And then to the right of them are the Montreal Wanderers. In our bottom left, the Toronto Arenas. And then to the bottom right are the Ottawa Senators. This version of the Senators only played until 1934. And then, of course, Ottawa comes back in 1992. And you've no doubt seen this Ottawa logo in a third jersey. So anyway, the original 6 that you're familiar with, or most of us are familiar with, myself included, until I got stupidly deep on hockey history for a previous episode. These are the 6 that were are still around, and the 25 season stretch. This was the only 6 teams there, starting in 1942. So, at any rate, so yeah, I understand Canadians wanting more Canadian teams. So let's talk about then, do Does a Canadian city deserve it? Does Houston deserve to be the next franchise? So here's what I did. I did something I never do, and that's math. Now, when I say I did math, you really don't want me doing math. Instead, I asked ChatGPT to do math for me. So here's what we did, and this took some time off and on, spending some time with it, tweaking things. But it's my attempt to get NHL board of directors mentality into a mathematical formula. Now, what I didn't count was arena readiness. And this is where you might go, well, wait, that's the most important thing. That seems to be all the NHL cares about. Okay, yeah, hang on a second. Here's the math that I used here, all right? Thing number one, despite how much you want the NHL to care about you, they don't. They don't care about fans. And no sporting league does anymore. If they did, tickets wouldn't be $100. Beers wouldn't be $12. No. The most important thing for a sports league is corporate presence. Corporate presence is 25% of the weighted score on this math that we did here. Based on Fortune 500 companies in that city's metro area, how many large employers there are. And this is for potential sponsorship, who's going to put their name on the arena, who's going to buy the luxury boxes, that sort of thing. Thing number two, TV market size is 20% of the weighted scale that we're doing here. Look, you might be gung-ho, you can't wait to put your money down on season ticket deposits as soon as they open up. But most people, most casuals, are going to go to maybe 1 or 2 games a year and enjoy the team on television. Therefore, the TV market size is a big deal. Thing number 3, median household income. 15% of the weighted score, because what is the point of building an arena and putting a team there if people are too broke to go to the games and also buy the merch and everything else that goes with it? Metro population is 10%. I know, that's like the 4th biggest thing. And whenever I look at comments on, maybe Houston should have a team, what I'm seeing is, well, gee, they're the 4th largest city in the United States. It's weird that they don't have a team. Okay, but population isn't the only thing here. Demographic trend is 10%. If the city, if people are leaving the city, then there's no point in putting a team there, right? Fan interest, and how do you quantify that to do math? Fan interest is 10% of our weighted score. This is youth hockey participation. This is minor or junior league team support. This is online fandom, including buying of merch from whatever resources I was able to find. How much do players want to live in this city? Because players do want to live in warmer climates. I mean, players have talked about, I really miss Phoenix. I like going to Phoenix. It's warm down there. Sorry, Canadians, but the weather is what it is. That having been said, player appeal is only 5% of the weighted score. And just think about your job. I mean, how much does your employer care about how happy you are? Is it about 5%? Well, there you go. There's going to be a couple of things besides weather that go into this, though. Tax burden. Yeah, non-state income tax states are going to get a higher valuation here. American cities are going to do better than Canadian cities because of the strength of the Canadian dollar, the cost of living, the lifestyle, the city amenities. It's subjective, but these were ranked 1 to 15 also.
Several days later.
This video's taken some time. So the last factor, 5%, is distance from other NHL cities or existing already NHL cities. And the reason for this is, I think it was Bettman that said this. It may have just been some pundit, but it makes sense to me. Let's look at Quebec City. So Quebec City, those fans are wearing Habs gear now, right? So why put another team in Quebec? Sorry, I know you don't like that. They're on the list. Hamilton fans are Leafs fans. And Bettman has said and has demonstrated he wants to grow the game in new markets. He loves telling that story of Austin Matthews discovering hockey because of the Phoenix Coyotes. So he wants to put teams in non-traditional markets. So distance from other cities is 5%. So with all that preamble, let's see where the math takes us. Remember, there's 15 potential expansion cities on my list here. We'll start with number 15.
Number 15, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Well, while the fan interest is there, they're second on the list. That's about it. Saskatoon is going to be dead last in terms of metro population for our list of 15. Saskatoon will have the lowest TV market size and the lowest corporate presence of the cities included. Sorry, guys. I know you were that close to getting the Blues, but it's probably not happening. Moving on.
Number 14, Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Well, Halifax is another hockey town that if passion were the only thing that mattered, we could put them high on our deserve list. But everything that Saskatoon rated last in that is important to a sports league, Halifax was second to last in. They do have a strong junior presence, but that's about where it ends. So for fans of the movie Goon, probably not going to the NHL.
Number 13, New Orleans, Louisiana.
Yeah, so when I see a journalist talking about NHL expansion and they write something like, you know, it looks like the New Orleans is going to be the next expansion team, I know not to read the rest of the article because this person has no clue. What does New Orleans have going for it? I'm sure a unique culture, but here's something fun about New Orleans. Their demographic trend is second to last on our list. That means people are leaving New Orleans, and so too would any professional sports team that wound up moving there. So anyway, let's never talk about this again, shall we? I'm playing this video backwards because New Orleans is never more beautiful than when you're leaving. Moving on.
Number 12, Quebec City, Quebec.
I know you want me to say psych right now. I know this isn't what you want to hear. Quebec City is first on the list as far as fan interest, but that's it. There's the lack of corporate presence, the high taxes. Sorry, unlikely the NHL is going back there. I know it's not what you wanted. And again, let's remember this deserve list isn't, you know, if fan passion was the only criteria, that's not what this is. This is on the basis of how the league thinks and operates. So let's just move on. This is too sad. And if it makes you mad, you're about to be madder. So sorry, just trying to prepare you.
Number 11, Hamilton, Ontario.
So if you really want another Canadian NHL team, I regret to inform you this is the highest rated Canadian city on my list, and the news will get worse later. But Hamilton is hurt for obviously their proximity to the Leafs, and once again, high Canadian taxes is going to do it. Small corporate footprint is going to hurt them too. Massive fan base, but again, the NHL doesn't have anything to sell them. You know, I mean, they're already fans of hockey. So anyway, that's why they come in where they do. Let's move on to are we on 10? We're on 10. Let's move on.
Number 10, Omaha, Nebraska.
I know having Omaha above any Canadian city is crazy, but is it? Because it's new territory. There's no teams around that area. And Omaha's growing. Their demographic trend is up there. People are moving and they're creating infrastructure for potential teams and fan bases and things like that. So maybe it's not that odd, but anyway, this is where they land. We're going to keep going though.
Number 9, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
In truth, Milwaukee's not number 9. They actually tied with the next city for number 8, but intangibles had me put them at number 9. But how much would it be fun to see the Milwaukee Admirals with that cool logo that they got in the NHL, the pirate ship type thing with the fighter bombers of the Houston Aeros. And no, I don't think they're going to be named the Aeros when they get in the NHL. But how much would you want that? Would you like to see the Aeros and the Admirals in the league? So what hurts them? Well, the proximity to Chicago hurts them. But other than that, they're in the middle of the pack because they have middle of the pack ratings for corporate presence, for media market, for city lifestyle, cities, if players want to live there. But, it could work, if we wind up really expanding the league. So anyway, there's Milwaukee. Let's keep going.
Number 8, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Cincinnati's another town that lands in the middle of the pack because they got middle of the pack, well, everything. City appeal, TV market, population, that sort of thing. Why did I put them above Milwaukee? Because I wanted to. No, in truth, they both tied in our 1 to 15 scoring. They both landed at 8 as their overall score. And, I just have this thing where I feel like Houston not getting in the NHL merger was a horrible wrong. And Cincinnati was there with us, who also did not make the NHL merger from the WHA. So I don't know. I have it in my head. Let's correct this wrong. So I put Cincinnati ahead. What difference does it make? It's my list. You can make your own. That's fine. Hey, let's keep going, huh?
Number 7, Kansas City, Missouri.
So I go to Kansas City for work. And yeah, I'm a teacher, but I'm one of the guys who grades AP exams, and that's where they fly the teachers out, and we all get in a convention center, and we just grade essays, for a week straight, 8 hours a day, actually a little longer than a week, and that's what we do. It sucks, but whatever. It's an opportunity to go elsewhere and collaborate with colleagues. But anyway, that's the point. Is I'll be headed back there in a couple of months, and I'll talk more about Kansas City as a potential expansion location because I'll be there. Why not? But something I noticed, they have that T-Mobile Arena, which is empty. Well, not empty. They have professional bull riding, and they used to have arena football, but they lost it. But they build this arena, and there's no NBA and there's no NHL, and that's weird. But I appreciate the go for broke attitude. If you build it, they will come. Well, they built it, and no one's coming. And what's even stranger than that is now the baseball and football teams are negotiating for new stadiums, and Kansas City is on the border of Missouri and Kansas, and they're kind of playing, both the baseball and the football teams are playing Kansas and Missouri against each other to work out the best deal, which is devious, and I love it. But anyway, about Kansas City, my observations when I was there, is they feel like a small town, they don't feel like an NHL city to me, but, and I'm comparing them to Tampa, and I should have pulled up population numbers and didn't. But what Kansas City has going for it, I enjoyed the town. It's a fun town, and on player appeal, they had pretty high marks. But as far as being a potential NHL city, I don't know. My pet theory that I have nothing to base this on is that Kansas City will be one of those cities that's dangled as a threat when cities don't cooperate with organizations. And organizations want to say, well, if we don't get our new stadium with luxury boxes, free of charge at the taxpayer expense, then, well, we'll just move to Kansas City. They have an arena there. But you know what? Every year that T-Mobile Arena stays unfilled is another year of deterioration. And I don't know if you've picked up on this, but the NHL tends to like shiny brand new stadiums, which I'll talk about as the list moves on. That's called foreshadowing. Let's move on. We are now on, oh boy, Or some of you going to get mad at me. But it's numbers. Anyway, let's move on to number 6.
Number 6, Mexico City, Mexico.
I can feel my subscriber count dropping already. And, okay, so I put this in because I was talking with someone about it. And I always try to play devil's advocate and be objective about things. Like, I really want Houston to get the next team, and I feel like, yeah, that's the next logical choice. But, I want to be objective about this, and I'm talking with someone, and they said, well, Houston's the next largest city that doesn't have a team, so it's logical they'd be up. And I go, well, okay, but if population was the only thing that mattered, Mexico City would be next. And that's how they got on this list. And I'll say them with you, all the reasons why this is a bad idea. Because they rank last in income level. They rank last in demographic trend. They rank last in player appeal. Although, with the money you're making, you could probably live like a king in Mexico City. And they rank last in fan interest. However, I noted something. There's hockey teams in Mexico City. There is, let me make sure I'm pronouncing. I'm going to give you bad white guy Spanish. Sorry. Living in Texas all my life, I should be better at this, but I'm just not. Liga Mexicana Elite de Hockey is a 5-team league, and with team names like Aztec, Mayan, Olmec, that sort of thing. Okay. But does Houston have a team, even a semi-professional one? So, maybe they got us there. Maybe it's not that crazy. And let me tell you why. The business reasons. Metro population, number 1, by a lot. TV market size, number 1, by a lot. And Bettman's been looking to grow the game. If you want something removed from everywhere else, Mexico City's the best one on this list, as ridiculous as this sounds. And before you say to me, well, no, that's ridiculous because there's no way that they're going to want to travel down to Mexico City. Are you sure about that? Because flying from Vancouver to Mexico City is a 45-minute shorter flight than flying from Vancouver to Miami to go play Florida Panthers. Maybe it's not that great. Oh, and I forgot one too. The other big one. They're not number 1 on the list. They rank 3rd in corporate presence, which is our most heavily weighted thing here. Look, the league offices have access to this same data. Are you telling me that there's no one looking at that going, So, at any rate, there you go. Number 6 on the list. As crazy as it sounds, using objective data. Mexico City. Okay, you can stop laugh. Okay, I know it's crazy. I let number 5. Number 5, right? Yeah, let's do number 5.
Number 5, Portland, Oregon.
Strong numbers across the board for everything the league is looking at. Not number 1 in anything, but they're all like number 3, number 4, or whatever on our list. They're number 3 in income level, and the league likes money, right? So Portland, not a bad candidate here. That's really all I got to comment on them. Let's move on to number 4. And hey, if we're thinking that the league's going to expand by 4 teams, this is where we get relevant, right?
Number 4, San Diego, California.
Not a lot of fan interest, and there's enough teams that are close by, but player appeal, number 1, and the thing that the NHL would care about, income level, number 1 on our list of 15. So San Diego is our number 4 candidate on our list here. All right. I don't think the top 3 is going to surprise anyone. Maybe the order, but let's keep on.
Number 3, Phoenix, Arizona.
Number 13 in our fan interest, but that you got to think that's because of the Yotes and their ownership and all that, right? I mean, you're probably screaming at your phone or whatever you're watching YouTube on going, come on, Savage. I mean, they never worked. And you're right, they never worked. But did you notice, as soon as the Yotes move, it didn't take long for, after Morello surrendered the team it didn't take long for someone else in Phoenix to pop their head up and go, maybe I could bring an NHL team to the city. You know that Bettman wants to bring him back, right? Because Bettman's going to retire in a couple of years and he wants to paper over the failure of the Yotes, right? So, yeah, look, they got an incredible youth hockey program there. And I got to talk to whoever it was that's probably not watching this, but I don't care. So Arizona State filled Muller Arena for a hockey tournament, and they're all, hockey belongs in the desert. And I'm like, well, congratulations. You filled a 5,000 seat arena, to which this guy shot back, well, how's U of H hockey doing attendance wise? And all right, that stung for a bit. However, it just reminded me that, we're not a college town. We're a major league city, and more so than Phoenix is anyway. But Phoenix is a major league city. Absolutely. Look, let's say that the NHL never expanded to Phoenix and now they came up as a viable option. Would you go, oh, that's stupid? Or would you go, yeah, that makes sense? If you're against Southern expansion altogether, you're probably not watching this anyway, right? You're probably going, yeah, okay. Yeah. Hockey in Phoenix makes absolute perfect sense. And it does. They just never got it right yet. So the weather, the players are always talking about how they miss Phoenix and how much they liked the weather down there and the climate. And it's a decent lifestyle and all that. So yeah, Phoenix is number 3. All right, here's the part you care about though, right?
Number 2, Atlanta, Georgia.
The problem with countdown shows is by telling you who number 2 is, you can infer who number 1 is. But here we are. We're going to talk about Atlanta though, right? For now. And I know they failed twice, but come on. Are you going to seriously act like you never got back with a crazy ex? Things will be different this time. And there's every indication that it will. While Atlanta is not number 1 in any of our categories, they are strong in the financials. They're strong in the population. They're strong in the demographic growth. The only place where they're really lacking is, well, number 1, they're kind of sort of close to Nashville. And number 2, fan interest. But you can grow that. I mean, this is what I'm saying. And I got to tell you, on my list of all the factors that indicate fan interest, they're 1 ahead of Houston. So if we're right and a team will grow fan interest, and all evidence shows that it does, like it did in Tampa and Miami and Dallas and southern cities, then yeah, Atlanta is a viable option, more so than it was. And besides, the Thrashers failed because of ownership, not because of fan interest or the city. Strong corporate presence, strong media market, a little bit better media market than Houston has. So at any rate, Atlanta number 2, and it's not a stretch to think they'll be the 34th franchise.
Number 1, Houston, Texas.
Yeah, I know. Yes, I'm biased, but the math isn't, and ChatGPT did the math, and it came out where it came out. It was close, in our 15-point scale. Atlanta got a 12.1 and Houston got a 12.45. And the reason Houston got so high on this list is, of our list of 15, number 1 in corporate presence. Second in income level. The league likes money. Second in metro population. Second in demographic growth. If you're driving around town going, gee, it seems like there's more people. There is. There's a reason why they're building all those houses in the suburbs. My neighborhood's getting surrounded by new development. It's irritating me. But I like the new restaurants that are coming in, so I guess it'll be okay, right? Third in player appeal, again, because our food's delicious, and here's the fat guy talking about food, right? Where are we lacking? Number 12 in fan interest. All the indicators of it anyway. But again, if we believe that a team will grow interest, then a team will grow interest, and it'll work out great. Other thoughts about this, though. most of the online fans, and I know I posted some derogatory comments, but most of them are like, yeah, Houston's the next logical choice. And even those that are against expansion, I get it. And against Southern expansion, again, I get it. That are hating, boy, Atlanta has a lot more hate than we do because of those two failures. And again, I'll continue to play devil's advocate. When the Aeros were in the IHL, which is my favorite era, there was constantly declining attendance every year, and championships didn't help. You know, there was this post going around that Houston was the number 24 market for TV attendance for the Four Nations Cup. That's great, but Phoenix was ahead of us, and other cities on this list were ahead of us in terms of TV viewership for the Four Nations Cup. That's why we're so low on fan interest. What else did I want to talk about regarding this before we move on to other things? Oh, yeah. At the Houston Hockey Hall of Fame, there's a lot of WHA players and even a couple of IH and AHL players that talked about how much they liked playing in Houston. And I believe there was sincerity in their comments. Now, it's easy to say, man, I really liked my time in Houston when you win 2 cups, as the Aeros did. But I think there's something to it. And there is excitement already building. The day that the Freidkin rumor, or not rumor, but news got announced, finally we can talk about it. I had a student come in my room, knowing, because I have stuff. This stuff was in my classroom before I brought it in here for the studio, which we'll definitely call it. Yeah, but I had a student come in my classroom knowing I'm a hockey fan, and he's like, "What do you know about Dan Freidkin and this rumor and stuff?" All excited. There's already excitement, and there is hockey interest. I mean, look, one of the WH Aeros used to love at the Hall of Fame banquet. They loved throwing out the stat that that they outdrew the Rockets a bunch. And I'm reminded of when the Rockets were in the playoffs for that first championship run, when Vernon Maxwell made the comment to the media, and he called out Houston. He's like, "We're in the playoffs. Why is no one showing up to our games?" It's entirely possible that, Houston will show up for a hockey team in the way that they don't show up for basketball. Although basketball's doing pretty well right now, but that's easy to do. The Rockets, with that 50-game wins this season. And then you've no doubt seen this. So this is from the November poll from The Athletic. And you'll notice, where would you like to see a new NHL team play? Houston's getting 54 votes as opposed to Quebec City's 47. And that's what people are saying, So things that players have said, like, let me scroll so we can get this here, and there we go. I'm gung-ho on Houston. I don't want to see another Canadian team. I think Houston could be a really good spot. Tax-free state. See, there's a reason I put that in there. Tax-free Sunshine States. Another player says, Houston is the 4th largest city in the U.S. and they don't have a team yet. We can't go to another Canadian market right now. You want to get mad at me for putting Canadian cities so low on the list? Look at what the players are saying. Canadian players, probably. I don't know, it's anonymous. We can't go to another Canadian market right now, not with how the Canadian dollar is. You can't go to Quebec City. Canadian dollar is, naughty word, you have to take the team out of Winnipeg. Let's see here. And there's a couple that want Quebec, obviously. I mean, nostalgia reasons and all that. But get out of Canada. We need hockey-related revenue. Houston, it's 5 million people. It's actually 7, but whatever. Quebec's a great city. I don't think it's big enough for a team. Well, anyway, and then there's, advocating for a second Toronto team and all that. But even the players are recognizing the potential for an NHL city. So, but that's just player data and our data. Let's ask an expert. In fact, I did ask an expert who should have the next team. So Let's honestly, probably the biggest expert in hockey in Houston. Um, Came here in the 90s and got really close to the IHL Aeros and the AHL Aeros and didn't leave town when the Aeros went to Des Moines. Clearly an expert. Let's talk to him.
I am here with the most famous of the IHL, AHL Aeros, Mr. K9 Chili Dog. Chili, got 3 questions for you. All right, they're going to be tough. Chili, do you think Houston needs a hockey team? Okay, I'm surprised you said that. Chili, do you have any ideas for the name?
Chili. Ready?
There you go, right there. Okay. My last question here. This one's a little bit tougher. What do you think? Any ideas for mascot for a new hockey team? Absolutely. There is no other answer. Chili, you've been very gracious with your time. Thank you, sir. It's great to see you. If you're not here at the Hockey Hall of Fame banquet, you're missing out. Thank you, sir.
Dude, that's expertise, so I don't know what to tell you. I mean, Houston needs a team. It should be the Aeros, and, you know, we already got personnel decisions made. You cannot find me a better expert. You just can't. Yeah. So, at any rate, there we go. Hey, episode's running long, but there is some time-sensitive stuff that I want to talk to you about. Thing the first here, you'll notice this year's scoreboard, the Houston Junior Aeros, or at least the 14 and under Tier 2 conference team. And I'm going to say some words that might make sense to you, but the 14 and under AA, they won their wild card game. They are now headed to the conference to a national championship quarterfinals. They finished second in their group with 7 points. And I'm recording this on Friday night. And they will play the Vegas Junior Golden Knights Saturday morning at 9 a.m., which, dear God, can you imagine waking up at 9 a.m. To play hockey? But hey, man, I hope they're having fun, man. I hope that they bring home some gear with that too. How cool would that be? I tell you what's a lot of fun, and you may have noticed it when I put it on the screen there, but seeing Houston on that screen where you got like Alaska and, you know, northern states where you would expect the junior teams to do well. That TX in parentheses sticks out, and that's hilarious. Hey, something else I want to talk to you about. Hockey is doing their gear sale. They don't always have the online store open, but as they order gear for the players, fans can also get in on it. And then what really sucks is like what happened to me. You don't find out that it's a thing until after it closes. So it should be open for about another week and a half, maybe. So I'll put the link in the description there. Go ahead and get in on that. And by the way, put your own name on. Don't leave it blank. That's lame. Put your name on the jersey. It's fine. No one, especially if you're an old guy like me, no one is gonna confuse you with a player. It'll be fine. You're playing pretend anyway. You're showing support. Put your name and put your little league number on there or something. Put a C on there if you want to. Who cares? Whatever. Let no fun people make fun of you if you know, whatever. It's have fun with it. All right. So, kids, let's review. What did we learn today? Well, we learned that Houston does deserve an NHL franchise, maybe even the 33rd, you know, and I want to hear what you think about this. Send me some comments here. And also, we learned, yay for the Houston Junior Aeros. By the way, that report, Tanner Wilson with the Texas Sports Review was kind enough to send me that info. So thanks, Tanner. And came in right as I was recording stuff too. So that's kind of nice. Yeah, so there we go. As once again, remember,